Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoworld Fantasy Basketball Q&A. I'm Raphielle Johnson, joined as always by Noah Rubin. How was your All-Star break?
It was nice. It's always that weird time of year where it's like there's no. I mean, I guess not no sports. So the Olympics are on, but the main sports, I guess, other than college basketball that I keep up with aren't on. So it's like weird that there's no sports, but it's also kind of a nice relaxing period before the final 2 months of the regular season and the playoffs, obviously. But it's now officially time to grind for fantasy basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Some of you may be in leagues where the playoffs have already begun, but for a lot of people, it's a stretch run right now. So, you're trying to kind of navigate everything with teams focused either on the draft lottery or making a run for a playoff berth. So, obviously, you guys are going to have a lot of questions, and we're here to kind of answer them to the best of our abilities. So, without further ado, let's get into those questions now. Isaac, thanks for tuning in. 12-team 9-cat head-to-head. He needs to activate Isaiah Hartenstein. B-Ball Paul or Jakob Poeltl are my only real drops. Honestly, leading towards Jakob dropping with Stewart still out 5 games. Is that crazy? Held forever, but last night was pretty bad for Poeltl, obviously. And then Najee Marshall being a holdover Poeltl in the same format.
So the quick, easy one, yes, I would say that I'd rather have Najee Marshall than Jakob Poeltl at this point.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of been on the team that says keep Jakob Poeltl and keep him around. But last night, I think it was the fact that he didn't do very much, but also he didn't start. He came off the bench, played 16 minutes, and didn't grab a rebound in those 16 minutes. Not exactly what you would call characteristic for him. I would still lean Paul Reed just because of more of the shorter shelf life for his production. Like he should be good for the next 5 games without Isaiah Stewart, but I don't think he's going to necessarily do what he has done the last 2 games with no Jalen Duren, where he's been incredible. But he's not going to play 33 or 30 or I guess 29 minutes. He's probably going to be closer to 15 or 20. And then when Isaiah Stewart's back, maybe he's done enough to still be part of the rotation, but not for more than a few minutes. So I'd rather just take a chance that Poeltl is going to be able to be better than he was last night than to rely on Paul Reed, who I feel like has like a pretty clear timeline for when he's definitely going to be a drop.
Yeah, it's not like Duren's coming back from an injury where you'll need conditioning time to kind of ramp up and whatnot. He's just coming off of a suspension. Got some run in the All-Star game on Sunday, obviously. So I could see Reed's minutes dropping down to about 15 or so, with Duren back in the lineup. So even with as bad as it looked for Poeltl last night, I think I would rather hold on to him because once Beef Stew gets back, then you're looking at a real possibility that Reed's out of the rotation entirely. I know he's played well these 2 games, but Detroit's been rolling, and I don't think they're going to make drastic changes to the rotation just because you got a couple good games out of Reed. That's kind of expected at this point. When those guys are out, he steps up. But when they're available, the minutes really aren't going to be there. So I would hold on to Jakob Poeltl for that reason. But yeah, Najee Marshall over Poeltl for sure. Jiggy, good afternoon, and got a couple questions from him here. First one, Guy Santos or Jalen Smith? And he also wants to know, shouldn't Curry's return primarily affect the guards as Jimmy Butler's injury has cleared a path for Guy to continue a starter's minutes? Now, let me double check what their lineups have been. So I'm pretty sure he went into the lineup when Curry got hurt as opposed to Jimmy Butler. Yeah. He's only been starting when Curry's been out recently. So, but you can go ahead and give your thoughts on that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember exactly when the Jimmy Butler injury. Do you remember what day that was, because I think he may have still seen a bump in minutes.
That was January 19th.
Yeah, so he was just, I guess, he missed a couple games right around then, but then he came back and he didn't really see much of a bump in minutes until, I guess, a couple games before Curry went down and he moved into the starting lineup. So, what did Jalen Smith do yesterday? He started 9.7. I think I feel a little bit safer with Jalen Smith. Santos has been great, and obviously Curry's still going to miss a few more games here.
Yeah.
Before he's back. And I think Santos has played well enough that he'll still be part of the rotation, and like, he might still start. Like they may say, hey, Steve Kerr will ride the hot hand until it's not hot anymore. But Jalen Smith, I think we've been waiting on him as like a stash option for a few years now. And now it's finally happening. And I know he missed a few games there, but seeing him, I know it was only 24 minutes last night, but pretty solid production.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather stick with Jalen Smith.
Yeah, I think your point about Steve Kerr with the hot hand is the reason why I would go with Smith as well. In the short term, you can certainly make an argument for Guy Santos, given how well he's played. But, if you're looking towards your fantasy playoff weeks, I think Jalen Smith, once he gets his minutes up, I think he'll play more than the 24 minutes he played last night for sure at a certain point. I think I would rather have that than Guy Santos, where we don't know for sure how many minutes he's going to get once Stephen Curry gets back. So, yeah, I think I would go Jalen Smith there as well. And his other question, he'd like for us to rank these players for the rest of the season, 9-cat head-to-head. Nolan Traore, Tristan Vucevic, Trey Johnson, Danny Wolf, and G.G. Jackson.
My gut reaction here is to prioritize G.G. Jackson as the number one there. Then probably Traore. I know he wasn't very good yesterday, but then is it Danny Wolf or is it Trey Johnson next? I'm almost tempted to go Danny Wolf because Trey Johnson's minutes have been limited. I know he's started, but only played 19 minutes each of the last two games. And like Washington seems like they're going to continue to limit the minutes of their starters. Even if Trey Johnson is a rookie, they may not give him, that kind of 35 or 30 to 35 minute runway that we like to see with rookies over the final month or so and rebuilding teams, where it's like, just what can you do with that time? Hopefully that ends up happening, in which case I'd probably have Trey Johnson third, but right now I'd almost lean Wolf and then Tristan Vucevic last, because he started in their last game. But, and again, it was a weird one where against another team where they're trying to prioritize their lottery odds as well. And Vucevic has been right. And that's the concerning part. It's like he started, but he only played 17 minutes. He's been very productive in limited minutes, which is great, but it's hard to rely on that consistently.
Yeah. I think I agree with Gigi, but I think I would go Trey Johnson second. And the reason why is I think he's one of the players who's going to play plenty once he's further removed from that ankle injury. I think that's a factor. Also, last night's game was the first of a back-to-back. I don't know if they've announced their injuries for tonight's rematch, but let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have, so I guess it's still possible that he plays. But yeah, I like Trey Johnson's long-term potential in Washington in terms of the rest of the season. There's guys like Keyshawn George not going to play as much down the stretch. They're still also waiting for Alex Sarr, different positions, but I think Trey's going to see plenty of time, so I would have him second. I'll go Danny Wolf third, because I think at some point Michael Porter Jr. is probably going to get shut down. And even if he doesn't, it's not too difficult for them to give him like 18 to 20 minutes instead of starters minutes, and then clear up room for Danny Wolf. Then Traore fourth and Vucevic fifth, because he had a career high 5 steals last night in 17 minutes, but I don't trust that. to
Yeah.
be the norm for him, obviously. So that's how I would rank them personally.
Yeah, very fluky.
Yeah. Speaking of Tristan Vukcevic, Rizzy McGuire would like to know, would you drop him for Andre Drummond due to the uncertainty of Washington and Embiid being made out of peanut brittle? Okay. Yeah. Jeez.
I guess that's better than or maybe not better, but it's at least a little bit funny. It's just consistently, injury prone, weak knees.
Mm-hmm.
It gets old. Mixing it up and saying he's made out of peanut brittle. It gets a little, Mm-hmm. I think I think if Drummond was able to do anything when Joel Embiid was playing, then that would be really cool. And I think you could have that argument, but it's when he starts, yes, he's pretty good. But
Mm-hmm.
when he's not starting, sometimes he doesn't play at all.
Yeah.
And then there's that situation where right before the All-Star break where he didn't start because the Bonus started and Embiid was out. So I don't know exactly how much longer Embiid's going to be out. I haven't seen anything about that other than just them ruling him out, which is frustrating. But I think I'd rather, even if the rotation looks frustrating in Washington, take the upside of Vukcevic there, and at least the consistent minutes, I'd assume, of Vukcevic.
Yeah, even if Sarr gets back from his hamstring injury, it's difficult to see them running him out there too much the rest of the season. I think they kind of have a good idea of what they're going to get with him. If anything, we'll probably see his minutes paired up with Anthony Davis if AD can play at all, just to see what that'll look like for the future. But if Sarr sits, you've got Vucevic and you've got Anthony Gill. I know they started Jameer Watkins at center for a game, but he's not a center. So, yeah. So I think I would probably hold on to Vucevic. Drummond played 28 minutes last night, which is promising. But, like Noah said, when Embiid is healthy, he's fallen out of the rotation entirely at times. So I think I'll stick with Vucevic. All right, Wemby. He's got Musa Diabate and IL. Guys to drop: Vukcevic, Nick Clifford, Ty Jerome, or PJ Washington. 9-cat, 12 team.
I'd say Vukcevic. Definitely not Nick Clifford, even though they brought him off the bench yesterday.
He wasn't good last night, but still.
Why did they bring him off the bench? Just why? Didn't they start Precious Achiuwa?
Yes, they did.
Why?
I mean, Precious played well, but it's one of those things where it's I don't know. Clifford still played 30 minutes. Westbrook played 17. DeRozan played 19. I get the feeling that's something we're going to have to get used to seeing the rest of the season, because I don't know if they've got the stones to tell those two that we're just not going to play you. Even though they probably should.
I mean, gosh. I think I was hoping they would make more of an effort at the trade deadline to trade away a few of these guys, even if they literally had to get back barely any. I guess that you probably don't want to attach picks to move them, but try to move off of them in some sort of way, maybe even a buyout or something like that to let them go play for a more competitive team, and just not that them being there is just ruining everything, but you need to get more minutes for your younger players to see what type of pieces you have, because you're going to add a top pick next year and you got to figure out who's part of your future. That's more of my issue with Precious Achiuwa playing is I don't consider Precious Achiuwa as a building block for the future in Sacramento. I think he's, had some moments this year. And like you said, he was really good in last night's game, but are the Kings building with Precious Achiuwa? I don't think so. So I know even if they want to keep losing, getting the young guys minutes. Anyways, I'd probably prioritize dropping Vukcevic. I think PJ Washington, there's a chance that he's a shutdown candidate. So maybe that's the argument for keeping Vukcevic and dropping him. But I think I'm not dropping Clifford and I'm not dropping Ty Jerome at this point. I think he's just been so good in 20 minutes per game. Like if he gets bumped up to 25 or 30, like you're not dropping that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's pretty crazy. This has turned into like the Tristan Vukcevic show. I did not expect that, but yeah, I think he's probably the one that I would drop here as well. All right, dynasty question for Noah from Kyle. Would you trade Trey Murphy for the first overall pick in this coming draft, 9-cat head-to-head?
Yeah, I would. I really, really like Trey Murphy, but I would rank both Darren Peterson and Cam Boozer above him in Dynasty, and AJ Demancey is not that far behind in my eyes. So I'm keeping I'm trading for the first overall pick. Whether it's Boozer, whether it's Peterson, does not matter to me. I'd prefer either of them over Trey Murphy. So
who is your top dynasty option as of right now?
I've gone back and forth on Cam Boozer and Darren Peterson.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see any other questions here, so we can just talk about Darren Peterson because I think it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think Cam Boozer is pretty straightforward with what he is. Like the production and the advanced stats that generally translate really well for fantasy basketball, incredible. Like seems like pretty much a shoe-in to be a very, very elite dynasty and fantasy player. Darren Peterson is like, you watch him and you're like, this is the greatest basketball player I've seen in a very long time. But then I don't know. I wish that there was just more clarity on exactly what's going on. Like, why is he checking out of games? Why is he not playing? Is he just trying? Like, this is just speculation. Like, is he just trying to play enough to where he can get his NIL money? And, there's nobody requesting that back. And also still show, hey, I should be the first overall pick. But he doesn't really care about college basketball, and he's just, it's a stepping stone to get to the NBA, so he doesn't want to risk further injury. Like the hamstring is bothering him, but he doesn't you don't want to mess with that. So is it something like that, or is there something? Because I've seen it's like similar questions as Anthony Edwards. Like, does he really love basketball? And it's clear Anthony Edwards is just like one of the most competitive people in the world. But I feel like it's very different because Anthony Edwards and nobody's really done what Darren Peterson is doing. Now, I think he's too good for that to be like, yeah, I'm not taking that guy in top 5 because, he clearly doesn't want to especially I just think it's like he probably just answers those questions in interviews and says the NBA was my priority. I didn't want to risk further injury to my body. I was never 100%, but tried to play through it. But, this is what I decided to do. But it's just very strange. And Bill Self doesn't seem to be truly helping make it seem like that's what it is. Cause I think he was saying we thought he was going to be more available. It was really disappointing because he was going to have a big game. And it's what's the communication like there? Does he just say, coach, take me out? And coach says, yes, sir. What do you mean, Bill Self? You didn't know exactly why you were taking him out and you didn't get an answer after that. You just, he asked out and he said he's not going back in. So yes, sir. Bill Self's I don't know, I'd say legendary college basketball coach enough to where I would think he has some authority there. So I don't know. Really, really strange. Bottom line here is I'm still taking Darren Peterson over Trey Murphy and Cam Boozer. But I think I don't know if it was if the Hawks get the number 1 overall pick, I want them to take Darren Peterson. If I have the number 1 overall pick in Dynasty, I think I'm taking Cam Boozer.
Okay.
What's your, or how do you rank the top 3 or right now?
I have Boozer 1. I think his overall skill set and everything he brings to the table, I would have him number 1. The availability issues with Peterson, I don't think they're going to be a problem once he gets to the NBA. Right. Because, NBA and college games are completely different in terms of the approach and all that. So I guess I would go with him 2nd and AJ Demancey 3rd. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how people view Demancey this last month of the season. Because obviously BYU losing Richie Saunders for the rest of the season, that's going to be a big deal for them. So we'll see how he handles those increased responsibilities. But nothing changes for me in terms of his skill level and what he can bring to the table. So I think Boozer 1. I could go with either Peterson or DeBounce second in terms of like dynasty rankings.
See, I think in like, real life draft setting, I think it's like a very clear top 3. Yeah. I'm almost getting convinced in fantasy to like have Caleb Wilson over Devonta just because of like he does more statistically.
Yeah.
Like I think Devonta's gonna be like a better player, but Caleb Wilson has been awesome. 1, and 2, a lot of the defensive production that Devonta has been able to do. So it's like, is there an argument that even if he shouldn't be a top 3 pick in real life, could Caleb Wilson be number 3 in Dynasty? I think that'll be interesting to see as we get more towards that type of draft season. Also, like, landing spot tournament time. It'll be a fun few months.
For sure. All right. Back to the redraft questions. Any concern about Santi Aldama getting shut down? I'm stashing an IL, was hoping he got unleashed after the trade deadline. 12-team 9-cat head-to-head, and I feel your pain about Santi Aldama's injury.
It seems like there's a chance. I think if also Adam Silver's going to install all these anti-tanking measures starting next season, everybody's got to tank as hard as they can for the next 2 months. Because if you can get a top 3, 4, 5, 6 pick this draft, it's like, okay, cool. Starting next year when the next class is just nowhere near as good, like, sure, we'll try and win games next year. But I think this is definitely a year to tank. So I'm almost wondering if like some of these reports of how they're gonna, avoid tanking, which are, I don't think are gonna actually help make anything better. If that encourages teams to say, hey, we're gonna just tank harder and just pay whatever fine they try and give us because these rules are not in place yet.
That's a good point. I'd also be concerned about Zach Edey in terms of coming back this season. So, man, it's tough. And I think with Edey, you can at least kind of talk yourself into holding on to him because it's like, all right, once he's out there, he'll be a focal point, and we've seen him be highly productive when available. Aldama's had his moments, but at this point, I don't know if the juice is worth a squeeze, so to speak. So, man, I think you may have to let him go, especially if you need help in the front court or you just need that IL spot freed up for someone else. You may have to move on from Aldama. So,
yeah, if you can't afford to be patient, especially I don't know. Maybe I would give it one more day because they are playing the Jazz tonight and play Miami tomorrow. So maybe it's just like hey, first night of the back-to-back against the team that's also trying to lose. We'll definitely not play Santi Aldama. But he's only played, twice in the past month. So it's like, but I think Zach Edey is almost like it's not even like hey, they're trying to tank, let's not play Zach Edey. It's like if you think this guy's gonna be part of your future, he's 7'4" with a foot injury, and you're not trying to make the playoffs. Like that's not even tanking to me. That's just asset management, just being smart with this. So I'd be shocked at this point if Zach Edey suits up again this year.
All right. I think we're a bit fascinated with Vukcevic potentially being similar to Ty Jerome with quick value and low minutes. Sorry injury and tank. He may be out for the rest of the season. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a very real chance that we don't see Alex Sarr play again this season. And again, it's asset management of a guy who you just drafted number 2 overall last year. And, I'm assuming that if they're planning to keep Trae Young and Anthony Davis around for next season, that they're going to try and like really push for the postseason next year after adding one more top pick. So yeah, very real chance. Vukcevic, I don't know. I hope that we get to see him play more minutes, but we really haven't just because of the way they've managed the rotation, which has been annoying. But there's some intrigue there. It's just, to me, it's like, it's one thing for it to be like, okay, he's about to get this really big opportunity. Like, will he produce versus, well, he's producing, but like, he really isn't getting the opportunities because this isn't just like, as he plays more games, he'll play better. It's like,
Yeah.
is the coach going to change up the rotations enough for him to really be what we want him to be? Like, I don't know. So definitely intrigued by him, but I'd like to see him get the minutes before I'm really willing to drop someone of value for him.
Yeah, I think Jiggy makes a good point. Certainly understandable, but it's like, why are they playing Anthony Gill 31 minutes? Like, that's one of those decisions where it's like, I don't get what they're doing there. Maybe, like I said earlier, hopefully that switches up tonight, since it's the second game of the back-to-back, where we see more of Vukcevic and less of Gill. But I don't know. It's one of those franchises that really hasn't done enough to like gain the trust of people in terms of how they go about their business. So we'll see what happens there. All right. As the guy swooped, Maxime Reynaud, after the Sabonis and Cardwell news, do you think he just eats at the stats buffet from here, or any risk they shut down or at least throttle his minutes?
I'm pretty confident that he's going to get to play a good bit. And the reason is he's not making them win.
Exactly.
They've lost 15 games in a row. If they, I think we saw this even like early January, or I guess mid-January, they had a 4-game winning streak. His minutes kind of tailed off a little bit. And now it's like, wait, we're really not going to win any games.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's also just kind of necessity with both Cardwell and Sabonis out. I think Reynaud is going to be, so Cardwell will be reevaluated like
4 weeks,
mid to late March.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he comes back immediately, but maybe he does for like the last few weeks of the season. But that could get you through the fantasy playoffs with Reynaud playing 35 to 40 minutes per game. He's absolutely a guy that can make a huge difference. And I'm not really concerned at this point about that changing.
Like Noah said, they've lost 15 straight. I don't think one win is going to do too much damage to their draft lottery prospects.
Yeah.
They've done the job, so to speak. So I don't think you should worry about Reynaud being shut down or losing minutes. Now, Drew Eubanks re-entered the rotation last night. He only played 11 minutes, though. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think Reynaud is going to be fine. It's just a matter of, are they going to put Nick Clifford in the starting lineup? They probably should. Those two plus Keegan Murray, probably the closest thing they have to building blocks right now. With Keegan would be the priority, obviously. So those guys need to play plenty. They need to play together. So yeah,
just have Devin Carter, Nick Clifford, Reynaud, Keegan Murray, and someone else. That's just who needs to be on the floor for 35 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And right now they're 3.5 games ahead in the tank race right now over the Pacers and the Pelicans. Like, they're gonna have to get hot. Like, I don't know, just like, we could go, if we can look at the schedule, I'm just like, what's ahead for them? It's like, I'm not trying to spend too much time analyzing the Kings schedule, but they Memphis, Dallas, New Orleans, like, they have a few games left, but they also play quite a few playoff teams along the way. Like, they play the Jazz again, they play the Nets twice. It's like there's room for things to happen against other tanking teams, but like, it hasn't really mattered when they play teams. They lose. So they just lost to the Jazz by almost 40 right before the trade or the All-Star break. So yeah, I'm fully expecting the Kings to lose a lot, and Maxime Reynaud not to impact that enough, or really any of these guys to impact that enough for them to make a change to their rotation.
What are the Kings doing? I think we don't know. Like,
sucking.
Yeah, they're just doing what the Kings do, unfortunately, for their fan base. So
it's like, I don't know. It's like, is this next level thinking type of tank where they just have a bunch of really inefficient players that don't fit today's game and just send them out there and look like they're trying, like for the veterans,
Yeah.
And it's like they just keep losing. So like, we're losing with veterans. That's so much better than the teams that are, resting all their guys and losing. So I don't know if it's that or if they're like not just like, oh, hey, this is kind of what's happening. Like we're going to get a top pick, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. Maybe they'll luck into a top pick and somebody that can save the franchise.
Yeah. All right. I don't have anything to add to that, but with my playoffs starting in 2 weeks, is it time to bite the bullet and drop Ja Morant and 9-cat head-to-head? I drafted him in Sabonis, and I'm somehow still alive.
Well, props to you for staying alive with, I think, like 19 games of Sabonis and 20 games of Ja Morant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Ja Morant again this season. And if we honestly didn't see him again in the Grizzlies jersey, because they could definitely look to trade him this summer. I think they tried to at the deadline, and then there was immediately reports that they're going to look to shop him again this summer. I assume there will be a little bit more of a market for him. I don't know how much they get for him. I think like the comparison is the Hawks got 2 veterans for Trae Young. That might be what they get for Ja Morant. I don't think that they would have to part with draft picks to move him, but like, I don't think they should if that's what it comes down to. But if they're able to just, move on from him, maybe get something back. That being said, I do think that I would take a look at dropping Ja Morant because, what was that update? Was it another 2 or 3 weeks for him?
2 weeks. Remember.
2 weeks. So that's like early March. Like this is a team that's trying to improve their lottery odds. Like they have the 8th best odds. They've lost 4 games in a row. Like we were just talking about them resting Santi Aldama. Like I don't think that they're going to risk things with a guy that they also can't, like that's injury prone or has a pretty extensive injury history. Like they can't risk. What if he has a major injury and they're like, well, we're trying to trade this guy. We can't have that happen. And it's not like he's going to go out there and, stay on the floor. Like he's going to go out there and he's going to get up in the air. Like that's what he plays. That's how he plays basketball. So I don't know. I think there's so many reasons for them to just, pack it in and say, hey, Ja Morant, like you're done for the year without, coming out and saying that.
Yeah, I would drop him. Maybe like you can't even get trade value for him in fantasy leagues at this point. So yeah, I think I would drop him. 12 teams. Let's see. I don't know how many teams are in your league, but 9-cat head-to-head. You should. I don't know if you're going to find a great option on the waiver wire, but at least you'll be able to find someone who's consistently available, I think. So, yeah, I think you definitely need to move on because that 2-week timeline for Ja is just a reevaluation. Doesn't mean he's going to be back in 2 weeks. So, yeah, the last thing you want to do is get to that playoff week and they announce that he's going to be reevaluated in another 2 weeks. Or they're shutting him down. So by then it's too late. So, yeah, I think you should move on from Ja Morant. All right. Do we think it's finally Kyle Filipowski season? Been holding for a while. Obviously, some games he's gone off, but there's been the frustrating games where he only plays the 4th as well. And is Oscar Tshiebwe any threat during the silly season?
Yeah, Oscar Tshiebwe. That's a silly season legend right there. He will have a 20 rebound game in April. Just go ahead and book it now. I don't know which one it'll be, but he'll have one. What's the injury report like for tonight? Is Nurkic?
I want to say
Nurkic is out.
He's
with
out,
nose injury management. That's crazy. He's resting his nose in the front end of a back-to-back. That's crazy. It's not a back-to-back. It's just nose injury. Just fresh off the All-Star break, 2 days before they play again on Monday. He's just resting his nose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Markkanen's questionable. Tshiebwe is also questionable tonight.
I hope it's finally Filipowski season. I think that it's a fair time for it to be Filipowski season. To me, it's like the egregious tanking shouldn't start till after the All-Star break. When the All-Star break hits, start with the egregious tanking. At least I know when it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's when it starts creeping up into, early February into January, heck, even into December. That's like, that's kind of annoying. But when it happens the final 2 months, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get to see a lot of Kyle Filipowski over the next 2 months. So I think it should be finally time for Kyle Filipowski. And we've seen some of those really nice games. So hopefully they just, ride with him and see what they have.
Could be Kevin Love season for all we know. I'm still surprised he's still there. Like, I thought they would have tried to. I don't know how much you'd be able to get to move him at the deadline, but
yeah, I can't imagine that you're able to get much. I would think that if he wants to be bought out to join a contender, that they would honor that. To me, that's almost signaling like this could be his last season in the NBA. He might be retiring at the end and doesn't feel like moving just to figure something out again in 2 months. He's just like, let's just stick around here. And then but I don't know that for sure. But yeah, it definitely could be Kevin Love season for a little bit.
Do you think Ty Jerome's minutes will increase with the KCP injury, or will he maintain the low 20s for the rest of the season?
I think it's less about the KCP injury and more about his own injury. Because that was the cap for Ty Jerome, I believe. That he was, because Scottie Pippen Jr. was something else.
His was a core injury for me.
That's right. I could see his minutes increasing, but like we have to look at this through the same lens of the Grizzlies are not going to risk further injuries. So, like, it's great that he's playing.
Scottie was maybe see him get up to
toe. Okay.
Yeah, correct myself there.
Okay, cool. But Tyler, I could see him getting up to like 25 minutes per game, but there's no reason. This is like the frustrating part is that, like, unless it's some like a rookie or like second year player that they're really trying to give a chance to, like, there's no reason for these tanking teams to play guys 35 minutes per game. Like, Ty Jerome could play 25 to 28 minutes per game, but why would they risk, especially if like they're trying to limit his minutes? There's no reason to play him 40 minutes. Yeah. So, I don't really see that getting above 30. I think that would be best case scenarios. We're seeing him play 28 to 30 minutes per game, which would be an increase, which would be helpful, but limited.
Yeah. We've seen him, as noted earlier, we've seen him put up good numbers in 20 minutes. So I'd imagine at some point he gets to 25, 28, but I agree with Noah. I don't think it's going to get too much higher than that. Why should it? Especially if you have Scottie Pippen Jr. in the mix. You've got Cam Spencer as well, who's given them good value throughout the season. So there are guys on that roster who can still play point guard minutes. Javon Small still on the two-way. I'm sure he'll get some opportunities between now and the end of the season as well. So, yeah, I think Jerome, if you're lucky, you'll get 28 minutes a night from him down the stretch, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did not hit that number. So, all right, Alex, good afternoon. So I've got too many point guards. The worst two are Melton and Colin Gillespie. I'm in second place in 12-team 9-cat. I need a big. Would Tristan Vucevic be worth a pickup for either of these two?
I don't really want to drop Gillespie. I feel like that. I know he's had some really rough shooting nights over the past couple of weeks. But I think especially, I don't know the extent of that Devin Booker hip injury that he left early on last night for. Grayson Allen also is now just popped up with an ankle injury, which I think he ended up missing last night's game. I remember adding him as
he was out. Yes,
okay.
He was out.
But I'm also not super interested in dropping Melton when he's starting.
Yeah.
That's tough. I guess if you're really trying to move on from position, like if you're able to make a trade still, maybe you can try and do that, even if you lose some value, but maybe try and just get someone better than Vucevic, or maybe somebody with more guaranteed minutes than Vucevic.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have said Gillespie until the Booker injury. Just when the Suns seem to get healthy on the perimeter, Booker goes down, and Grayson Allen also was out last night. So I think in this case, I would try to trade one of these two as opposed to just dropping them, because I feel like you can possibly get better value in return via trade than picking up Vucevic. So that's what I would try to do. You're not going to get a high level big for either of them, obviously, but I think you may be able to get some type of value in return that would keep you from having to add Vucevic in this spot. All right. I'm intrigued by the idea of Dayron Sharpe going ham in a silly season. Is that a realistic scenario? Claxton, Michael Porter Jr. shutdown, and Sharpe unleashed feels like a bit of an ask. I think it's realistic.
I agree for sure. I have him on my must starts for this weekend. Claxton's out again tonight. Dayron Sharpe didn't do much against the Cavs last night, but last game before the All-Star break, played 31 minutes, 19 points, 12 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Like, he's had a few of those games this year where he's gotten big minutes, and it's been like good field goal percentage, steals and blocks, decent assists for a big, and then fine points and rebounds for a starting center. So, yeah, I think Dayron Sharpe is like a high priority guy. I don't know for sure that Claxton and MPJ get fully shut down because we didn't see the Nets do that last year until I think later on.
Yeah.
But I think Dayron Sharpe definitely could be really good over the final 2 months or so.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Maybe Claxton and Porter just play like 18 to 20 minutes. Let's be honest, even when those guys are healthy and playing starters minutes, it's not like the Nets have to go great lengths to tank with this current roster. So if anything, just making sure that Sharpe has the minutes available to him to have an impact. And I think that'll happen. Last night was a weird. I think the biggest concern is that the team getting blown out like they did last night. I think that factored into him not playing as much as you'd want to see him play. But I think overall, Sharpe is someone who has some serious silly season potential for the Nets. All right, Troy, good afternoon. First place 12-team head-to-head 9-cat currently has Jalen Smith, Grayson Allen, and Vucevic in IL. Droppable players Melton, Justin Champagnie, Nick Clifford, and Kyle Filipowski. Playoffs in 3 weeks, and he would like to know if we have any advice for him.
Not really wanting to drop any of those guys. Maybe Champagnie if I'm choosing one to drop, but I'm assuming you're looking to activate Jalen Smith off of the IL. But I think maybe Melton to an extent. But I think Nick Clifford and Kyle Filipowski have enough silly season upside that I'd want to keep them over Melton and Champagnie. Grayson Allen, hopefully he gets healthy soon. Vucevic, we've talked about him a lot. Can be good. Hopefully he gets the minutes, but he hasn't. Want to keep Jalen Smith around. But I think that's tough because I don't really, but I get it. It's like you have to clear out the space before you're even able to make a trade, but you're also in first, so I don't want to give up too much value for guys that could really help you like ensure that championship. So I don't know. Do you have anything? I guess if I were to prioritize something, it'd be dropping Champagnie and Melton, because Grayson Allen should be fine in the IL. So if you can activate Jalen Smith and Vucevic, then maybe you can make some other move there.
Yeah, I think Champagnie would be the one I would drop just because even though he's a player that a lot of people have pegged as like having silly season potential, the Wizards are like the Nets in that they don't really have to make too many changes to tank. Like they don't have to say, all right, we're going to play these young guys, say 20 minutes instead of 30. Like they're already bad, so, and it wouldn't be good for them to not play some of these young guys the minutes that they can play. So I think Champagnie's the one who could probably lose out there in terms of playing time. He's one I would drop, especially if you need to activate Jalen Smith, obviously, after him playing last night. You can still keep Grayson Allen in the IL slot because of his injury. Vukcevic, I don't know if he's like a priority, like active guy to activate. Obviously you have to activate him, but I don't know if he's someone you have to hold on to, per se. Especially because Milton hasn't been great in category leagues this year, but I don't feel good dropping him, especially with Curry out for at least another 10 days. And I'm with Noah on the Nick Clifford and Kyle Filipowski fantasy upside for the rest of the season too. So I think Champagny, the two Wizards would be the guys I'd be most willing to part ways with at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Take a quick look at the injury report.
Yeah.
Looks like Michael Porter Jr. is going to play tonight. He's off the injury report. So he's playing. Yegor Dioman's playing tonight. Those are both guys who we've seen sit out parts of back-to-backs in the past. So that's good. Isaac's got a non-basketball question. I guess we can get into that. No, are you excited for Mandalorian and Grogu? And hit me with another hip-hop group you like. I'm a big Little Brother support. Had a poster. I have it on a T-shirt today. So, yeah. But, no, what are your thoughts on Mandalorian and Grogu?
I'm excited to have Star Wars in a movie theater, which will be really cool. Yeah. I'm not overly excited because it looks okay. Mm-hmm. But going to see Star Wars in a movie theater is cool. So that's what I'm excited for.
Let's see. Another hit. There are lots of them. You want somebody newer, or let me pull up. I'll open up my Apple Music, see what I picked up recently. I'm not going to throw Larry June out there. He's probably, but the Chez Noir and Love the Genius album that dropped. I've been a big fan of that. It dropped a short time ago, a couple months ago, I want to say. Maybe in December, actually. So that'll be another. They're not a group, they're kind of a tandem that got together and put an album together, but that's one group that kind of stands out to me right now. So, yeah. Appreciate the non-basketball question, though. I'm not a huge Star Wars person, but I will say you sit in a theater for a Star Wars movie, that's an experience in terms of like the sounds and the graphics and all that stuff. So
yeah, and it's just been a while since they've done it.
Yeah,
so it's like it'll be fun.
For sure.
What did you think about the anti-tanking rules?
I don't know, man. I kind of feel like the league may have had some pressure from like some of their other financial interests.
Oh, I think they said that, or Shams specifically said stakeholders have intensified dialogue about combating tanking.
Yeah, so you're going to take that's like the thing about taking that gambling sponsorship money. Like, they're going to have some things that they're going to say about these things. So, yeah, I don't really know what they can do. Like,
did you see the Shams tweet with all the things that they were talking about doing? Here,
no,
I'll read them out. This is the things that they've discussed. So first round picks can be protected only top 4 or top 14 plus. So I guess trying to avoid like what the Pacers are doing, where it's like top 4 or 9 or 10 through 30 protected or something like that. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. I think that sucks because then teams just tank earlier, and then after the trade deadline, what do? They just start trying. No, they keep doing what they were doing because they don't want it to be like, oh, see, we were trying to lose, but now we're not trying to lose. It's just not gonna help. No longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. I get the idea of like, okay, someone gets the number 1 pick, they can't get it the next year, but I don't think that this is like I don't know. You need multiple of those top guys to like truly go through a rebuild unless you're going to acquire them a different way. So I just think that just punishes teams for not immediately turning things around. And I don't think you can immediately turn things around the NBA like you can say in the NFL with free agency and the draft. Teams can't pick top 4 the year after making the conference finals. That's literally the dumbest thing ever because like, okay, the Pacers are probably going to do it this year. It's because their star player tore his Achilles and one of their other starters left in free agency. This does not happen every single year where teams are like, well, we made the conference finals last year. Let's tank this year. That's it's like, it's just, who cares? Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. I get it, but then you just have to kind of tank for longer to make sure you get a top pick. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams because right now it just includes the play-in teams that don't make the playoffs. Are you going to include the teams that make the playoffs in the lottery?
Yeah.
Every team in the NBA is going to be trying to finish 7th in their conference. That way they can get home court in the play-in and still get lottery odds. Because you could in theory win a championship and pick first overall if everything goes your way, and then flatten odds for all lottery teams. Perhaps that would stop like tanking in general, but that's just going to punish the teams that are bad. I mean, I know like, they introduced the lottery in whatever year it was Patrick Ewing with flat lottery odds, and then the Knicks ended up getting it. But it's like, what if these, you're going through an 82 game season and say every team tries, there's going to be bad teams. And now all of a sudden where it's even higher odds that something happens like what's happened the last few years where it's like, Dallas leaps up, Atlanta leaps up. I think San Antonio was near the top, so that wasn't an egregious leap up, but like those type of situations where it's like, you're just going to have more of those. Like literally you're increasing the odds of that happening. Does the tanking stop? Perhaps, but now some of these teams are literally going to be screwed for a decade if they don't have the lottery go in their favor. That's my thoughts on everything.
I feel like the only proposed idea that would make any type of sense would be to flatten the lottery odds. Like the others are just crazy. Like the conference finals one is absolutely absurd because what if you have a situation like, say, Oklahoma City, where they've made smart moves in the past? Are you going to take away their ability to finish with a top 4 pick just because a team gave them a pick that turned into
I didn't
a top 4?
Consider that it wouldn't be their own pick. I just assumed it would be having to be their own pick. But maybe if it's like they made these good trades. It's like, that's
you can't
a really
do
good
it.
point.
Like what? Like that. But I think the only way to like eliminate tanking would be to eliminate the draft, but then you're opening up a whole nother can of worms. I'm not as concerned about the talent distribution as some other people are. Because you still have a salary cap, you still have roster limits, and guys want to play. Like you don't want to sign a contract and not play. So but the draft, I don't know what like the TV ratings and money they make from the draft is, but that's a day where the NBA has to itself. And with the expansion of the NFL schedule and whatnot, those days aren't as prevalent as they were in the past. So I highly doubt they'd want to give that up. So
eliminate the draft. I think just taking away the lottery, which I know they now, make money off of that presentation as well. But like, I don't really know the history of it. Did they add the lottery in the 80s because teams were tanking in the 80s? Like, I don't think that's what was going on. So I'm like, what does the lottery really prevent tanking? I don't think it really does. And I think that, you're probably still going to have some tanking to an extent towards the end of the season, but like, it's not like you're trying, it was tanking.
No, because before the draft lottery, the first one, the Knicks won in 85, they used a coin flip between the two teams with the worst records in each conference. So,
interesting.
And then 1990 is when they added weight to the draft lottery in terms of, your record determined.
Like, why couldn't it just be just like the NFL does, where it's just like whoever has the worst record gets the first pick? And like, I don't know, I guess over the course of an 82 game season, then they're in the league's mind, it's like, well, now teams, it's not even fighting for a chance. Like you're fighting for the number 1 overall pick. Like they're going to take even harder. I don't know that, but like I get that concern. Frankly, something that'll never, ever, ever happen. I'm not advocating for it to happen, but guaranteed contracts in the NBA is the reason that players are like not on board with tanking, but like if you tell an NFL player, hey, like, sorry, like you're hurt, we're not playing you. It's like, well, if I don't play, I don't get paid, or I don't get a guaranteed contract. I have to hit, like certain incentives, like things like that. Like, no, I'm going to play and I'm going to go my hardest in the NBA. It's like your contract's guaranteed for 4 or 5 years. Like we just drafted you. Like we're playing the long game here, and you're a little bit more on board with it because it's like I'm getting paid, and you're right. This is going to help the team get better. Not advocating to take away guaranteed contracts. I don't think that the NBA Players Association would ever like allow that to happen. I don't think it should happen. But I think like in theory, you take away guaranteed contracts and all of a sudden everyone's playing harder for 82 games. That's just my theory that will never, ever get played out. I'm not trying to take away anybody's money, so I'm not trying to advocate for it happening. Just like making that very, very clear.
Mm-hmm. I do like the idea of having like a separate tournament for the teams that are going to be in a draft lottery. And if you win that tournament, then you get the first overall pick. I kind of like that idea. But it's like how many teams would you put in there,
And like what's the incentive for the players to try? Like maybe like there are certain players like they're getting like national TV audience, like more teams can see them, like if they're trying to make a team. But like if I'm on a team and I'm like, well, the better I do or the more we win,
someone can take my job.
They're going to take my minutes. And like, I'm the face of this franchise right now. And you're going to draft someone better than me. Like, I'm good. I'm not helping this. So it's, I don't know. I think it would, like the NBA could consider in the sense like, hey, there's more games to be played and there's like really high stakes there. So maybe good viewership or things like that. But it's just hard for me to imagine players being really on, especially like if you look at like some more like veteran players where it's like they're in like their mid to late 30s, they're pissed off that they didn't make the playoffs this year, and now you're going to go make them compete for a 19-year-old. Like, I can just see a lot of people getting rubbed the wrong way by that, even if it seems like it'd be really good in theory. Like, it makes sense for, hey, you have to like earn this top pick.
I don't know if there's a perfect solution. There rarely is a perfect solution in spots like this, but one thing I haven't heard is that none of these teams that pull the plug have said anything about, giving money back to their season ticket holders or anything like that. It's like, hey, man.
One would think.
Yeah, but of course, one would think, but one would also know that that's probably not going to happen. So, But I think we can go ahead and wrap it up at this point. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. Asked some really good questions. Enjoy your weekends, and we will be back next Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Take care.